In a church, a solitary man stumbled upon a cardboard replica of his city, which included his residence. Intrigued, he sprayed water on the miniature church and was astounded when it began raining outside. He repeated the experiment, causing the rain to intensify, leading him to conclude that the model possessed magical powers. Littleton, a small rural town, had previously made headlines when Trina Grant, the new mayor, died in a car accident 1 year earlier. In the small provincial town of Littleton, an emergency news release reports the death of Trina Grant, the new mayor, in a car accident. Grant was beloved by the locals for leading the vote to ban the expansion of a freeway, which made the town more comfortable, famous, and attractive to tourists. She had outvoted John Conley, who had advocated for the freeway extension that would have cut off Littleton from the main road, bringing local life to a standstill. With Grant's passing, it is probable that Conley will succeed in his efforts to construct the new road. Heartfelt condolences are given to Trina's grieving husband by her relatives, close acquaintances, and the entire community. 1 year later, a bleak scene unfolds: littered streets, closed signs on shop windows, and residents departing their hometown due to joblessness. Ironically, all of this occurs against the backdrop of a road sign reading "Welcome to Littleton." The new mayor, John Conley, wanders around town with his wife, grinning at the occasional passerby, as if nothing is amiss. Emilio, a young man from Littleton, is one of the many residents who have left town due to unemployment. He visits Jason, Trina's widowed husband, who resides in the attic of the local church and has become reclusive since his wife's passing. Emilio brings candles, cakes, and some amusing caricature drawings he has made, featuring Jason and Mayor Conley. Jason laughs heartily and praises Emilio's talent, encouraging him to keep creating. Emilio then inquires as to why Jason is living in the gloomy attic, to which Jason replies that he can no longer reside in his old home after Trina's death. However, he is allowed to stay in the church attic by the pastor in exchange for his assistance. As he is leaving, Emilio asks Jason if he feels closer to God. Jason reflects on this and recalls Pastor Nikki's visits after Trina's death. She had supported him through his grieving process and helped him move forward. In appreciation, Jason had offered to assist in cleaning up the cluttered attic of the church. While cleaning, he discovers a strange board that contains an exact replica of the city, complete with even the smallest details like cracks and holes in the ground. Upon closer inspection, Jason notices a mechanism beneath the board and attempts to activate it. Suddenly, the gears begin turning, lights appear in the windows, and the town comes to life before his very eyes. Jason is overjoyed, but his excitement is short-lived when something shocking happens. As he gazes through the attic window of the church, Jason notices a small figure that looks just like him standing in the same spot. To get a better look, he sprays some water onto the window, and to his surprise, he sees that it is actually raining outside. Quickly realizing what is happening, he sprays even more water, and the rain outside intensifies. He reaches out his hand, still in disbelief. Later, Jason is sitting in a local restaurant and overhears the customers discussing the strange rain that only seemed to be happening in one place. He listens attentively to their conversation. The friendly restaurant owner laments the lack of customers due to the road construction and offers Jason coffee. She also tasks her son Emilio to paint the restaurant facade, to which he sarcastically responds. Jason takes note of the task and later uses the replica of the town to paint the facade with nail polish. The next day, Jason acts as if nothing happened while a crowd gathers around the newly painted restaurant. Emilio denies involvement in the incident to his mother. The mother of the restaurant owner is not happy with the newly painted peach-colored facade since she hadn't given permission to do it, and the building belongs to the mayor who may not like it. Jason, however, thinks it looks good and brings some brightness to the gray surroundings. He also corrects her that it's not orange but peach. The mother eventually agrees and feels more at ease. The next morning, while leaving the church, Jason notices a poster of Conley's election campaign on the fence and casually removes it before throwing it away. Jason hears a loud cry of an elderly woman who has twisted her ankle because of the big hole in the ground. He helps the lady and listens to the complaints of the older population about this eternal hole and other problems of this city. They mention a suggestion box for the mayor that has not been looked at for ages. Without further explanation, Jason understands what needs to be done and takes the suggestion box to his attic. Miraculously, all of the town's issues are resolved, the holes are filled, the streets are cleaned, and even the angry dog is fed a small bone that appeared enormous in the real world. Jason walks around the town the next morning and is delighted to see how the residents react positively to all the positive changes that have taken place overnight. When he enters the restaurant, he witnesses the mayor criticizing Emilio and his mother for painting the facade in a color that wasn't approved by him. Jason interrupts the conversation and puts the mayor in an uncomfortable position by reminding him about his deceased wife. Later, he goes to a shop where he overhears customers talking about the problems that have been resolved in the town. As per their conversation, people in the town are now considering staying since they notice everything is getting better. Jason agrees and suggests that the town must have a guardian angel now. The man in the shop believes that it is Mayor Conley who is the angel. According to him, everything is the result of Conley's hard work, and people should vote for him in the upcoming re-election. Jason disagrees and points out that this isn't going to be a re-election, but rather an election. He explains that Conley became the mayor only because his wife, the previous mayor, passed away before completing her term. The woman standing nearby claims that it doesn't matter how Conley came to power as long as he's doing his job. The man agrees with her and proposes a drink for the mayor's health, but Jason politely declines and departs. When night falls, Jason returns to work on his replica and considers ways to increase the town's tourist appeal. He builds a large glowing sign that reads, "Littleton, America's smallest magical city." The town is now teeming with tourists, the gas station has a line, and the restaurant's parking lot is packed to capacity. The population's spirits have clearly improved and even Sunday Mass is overcrowded. Pastor Nikki happily greets everyone she hasn't seen for a long time and points out that they have gathered to celebrate a series of wonders that returned their town to life. She doesn't know who this mysterious helper is but is certain that he needs to be thanked. Some of the parishioners cry out that it must be the new mayor. Conley's spouse asks her husband if it was really him, but he just shrugs his shoulders. The pastor says that whoever that is, he has taken responsibility for his friends, neighbors, and the entire town. The mysterious helper, who has been responsible for fixing the town's problems and attracting tourists, receives gratitude from many, including Conley. However, Jason is unhappy with the situation and takes matters into his own hands by throwing a small stone at the helper's sports car. Unexpectedly, a large meteorite falls from the sky and lands on Conley's car, causing him to scream in the town center the next morning. The gathered crowd is shocked by the coincidence, but Conley suspects that he is being targeted by someone in the town. Conley spots Emilio, who is laughing hysterically, and confiscates his notebook, where he discovers a drawing of his car with the stone on the roof. The mayor starts shouting and accuses Emilio of the incident, but his mother defends him and demands proof. The people side with them and prepare to leave, but Conley delivers an impassioned speech about his good intentions and wins back their favor. Observing Conley walking alone, Jason decides to teach him a lesson by placing a giant spider on the replica. Waking up to the sound of heavy footsteps, Emilio looks out of the window and sees a huge monster. Unaware of the situation, Conley also hears the footsteps and looks up to see a massive creature approaching him from around the corner. He falls to the ground in terror, screaming, but the spider suddenly disappears into the sky, leaving Conley bewildered and disoriented in the middle of the deserted street. In the meantime, Jason is content as he puts the spider back into its jar. Conley walks with the pastor the next morning and complains to her that someone is constantly testing his faith and trying to play a trick on him. While walking, Conley notices Emilio painting a huge spider on the wall, so he grabs him and asks if he saw it last night. Emilio smirks, which annoys the mayor even more. Later that evening, Pastor Nikki visits Jason, but he stops her at the doorstep to keep the replica a secret. She expresses concern for Jason's well-being and notes that things are improving in the city, giving them reason to have a more positive outlook. Jason tells the pastor that Conley is too selfish and greedy to deserve any credit, but she responds by saying that anyone can change their ways. Later that night, Jason attempts to improve the city's lighting by adding more bulbs and signs, but the system can't handle it and the entire town is plunged into darkness. The residents gather by candlelight in the church for an emergency meeting and demand that the electricity supply be restored. The mayor reveals that the situation is dire as the power plant failed due to the new lighting and it may take weeks to repair. One of the old ladies reveals that she relies on an oxygen apparatus which requires electricity to function. The other residents join in and demand that the mayor resolves the issue immediately, pointing out that it was he who installed the new signs. However, Conley denies any involvement and claims that he has no idea who did it. The people are skeptical and become aggressive towards him, prompting him to flee to the yard. There, he confronts Emilio, who is drawing in the street, and takes away his notebook. In it, he discovers a drawing of the town sign. The crowd refuses to believe Conley's explanation that Emilio is responsible for the strange occurrences in the town, as the guy draws everything that happens in the city, which they believe is some form of witchcraft. They attack the mayor for his apparent lack of action. However, Jason steps in and admits to being the one responsible for the incidents, claiming that he only wanted to help the town and its residents. He demonstrates some wonders from his attic as proof, but people still demand more evidence. Jason then removes his gold wedding ring and places it next to a photo of his deceased wife, admitting his failure to her. The mayor and his followers burst into the scene and discover Jason's secret. Conley sees the potential in the replica and wants to turn the town into the next Vegas, but Jason opposes him. A small scuffle ensues, causing the replica to fall over. Meanwhile, in the real city, chaos reigns and the residents are wondering how to fix everything. Seeing his large wedding ring in the street, Jason reassures them that they already have the means to do so. The reporters covering the story already call it the biggest single piece of gold ever found. Hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more movie recaps.